Good morning, y'all. So I did stream yesterday. I don't know if you knew that because no one was there, but I think that's the only time that's gonna happen because dance is happening on Thursday. So I think from now on we're gonna be skipping Thursdays. So we'll do Monday. We'll do all weekdays except Thursday because I don't want to get on top of dance. I don't want to. And plus, everyone kind of left afterwards. If we let people know that, yeah, Thursday, two things are happening, but I don't think people are going to stay around for that long. So, yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're going to be having this as of now, as of this week. So, today, yeah, alright. Today, what are we going to do today? Well, you might be able to see from the title, I'm not sure. We're going to take a look at some other programs. Other stuff besides Soundtrap. What else is there? And we're going to compare between Soundtrap and those other DAWs so we can see what we're working with. Alright, I'm just bringing a couple things, a couple web pages up here. We're also going to look at where to find new sounds, new samples for your projects. We're going to take a look at my sample library and my loop browser because I've got quite a few. I've been collecting them over the years. So we're going to just go through where I find samples, and we're also going to, do some compare, contrast, etc. It's going to be fun. It's going to be more of a loose kind of day rather than talking about too much in terms of like concepts and stuff. We're just going to look at cool stuff. Okay, let me switch the screen here. So I think everything is good. Let me just pull up a project. All right. Just make sure this is good. Yep. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, we're not even gonna bother. Oh yeah, my pencil's died. Okay, one sec. I'll plug this in a minute then. We're gonna start with looking at the other DAWs first because I need to let my drawing utensil charge. So we won't touch that for just a minute. I'd like to look at DAWs that are on not only on the computer but on the iPad as well. So what you were seeing there, what I've been drawing on my iPad this whole time, and I've connected it to the computer. So I'm going to also use that today to show off some apps on your phone that you can use, or on your iPad that you can use to get sounds as well. And you could go and get the sounds from the app and import them to Soundtrap, and work with them from there. All right, so we have Soundtrap here. First DAW I want to take a look at is Ableton Live. I'm going to go to the website for Ableton. So this is what I'll kind of pull it up too. This is what Ableton looks like. This is probably what you've seen me use in the past, last summer camp. This is basically what I was doing the class with, or with the production class with. And and we'll kind of make some direct comparisons. Let me quickly show you that you can get a free trial of this. And right, there's all sorts of, let's see, there's all sorts of sounds you can get as well off of their website. So once you get Ableton, you have you'll be able to download, well, of course, obviously not all of the ones that are that are paid. These are things you can buy if you want, extra sounds or extra plugins, and we'll get to what plugins are too. They kind of have to do with effects, and we didn't get to effects. I wanted to get to effects yesterday, but there was no one here, so we'll definitely talk about some of those today because I have a lot more effects in Ableton to play around with than I do in Soundtrap. So all sorts of sounds you can download here. These are all free. Well, if you get live, you can get all of these sounds. And here's just one of the file sizes. There's a lot. There are a lot of sounds. And oh my God, you lag so bad. What's the website called? How do you sign in? Oh, am I lagging a little bit? The website. Don't worry about logging into this website. This is just if you want to download Ableton Live and you want to get started with it. Here's the link. Whoops. You can get rid of this You can get rid of this extra stuff. Ableton.com. Let me try to get my mic a little closer so maybe I won't be cutting out as much. Okay. So yeah, so I'll show you the DAW. This is the website. Don't worry about that. You can get a free trial if you'd like. But anyways, here it is. Here it is, and all of it for me a little. Okay. Let me check my bitrate. One sec. Let me see if I can maybe raise it a little bit. Video. Downscaling the resolution. Why am I doing that? I could probably put it up. I think I've got it to where I don't lag too much. My internet is limited. I would hopefully I'll get better internet in the future. But for now, I guess you're just gonna have to deal with a little bit of lag. Because I could change my settings around, but really it doesn't. It's not up to me in the end. So, anyways, let's talk about DAWs instead of internet because that is more fun. Let's see. So, in Ableton, first thing you'll notice, you launch it up. Let's kind of make it as simple as possible. Let's get rid of all these extra little views. First thing you'll notice is it's a lot, I guess you could say, less user-friendly. It's a lot less pretty, and it's a lot more functional. It looks a lot cleaner, in my opinion. Everything's kind of in small boxes. You can't really tell what things do, but it's all compact and functional. So I'll go through and I'll just kind of highlight a couple things. Let's go to Soundtrap here, just so we can make comparisons to things we know. Let's go ahead and load up a piano track. Let's load up a loop. Oh, whichever. So we have an audio track here with the drums on it, and then we have a MIDI track here with the grand piano that we can draw notes in. Right. So let's do the same thing in Ableton then. Let me make it so this is full screen and I can swipe over. So to do that in Ableton, notice here we have our tracks here on the right, MIDI. So we end up with 4 tracks to start, 4 blank tracks. 2 MIDI tracks, 2 audio tracks. MIDI is where our piano roll and our notes go, and the audio is where our loops go and our audio goes. So let's get a couple of those right now. So let's find, okay, let's actually make a MIDI drum kit. So here's one of the first cool things we can do. So the whole reason I love Ableton so much and I use Ableton mainly because I have this piece of hardware. I'm going to lift it up and show you. Actually, I don't need to move it. I can move my camera. That's probably smarter. Oh, and I can also open up my camera. Hello. So, my room. So, this is why I have Ableton, is because of this little piece of hardware. It's called a push. It's basically a giant 64 drum pad thing that can do a lot, and it's kind of synced up with what's happening in Ableton. So like one of these days I'll get my camera set up so I can just kind of have that over it. But for example, I can like switch between the tracks with this thing. I don't have to use my mouse, and I can record stuff in with it. There's just so much that it can do. I don't want to get into it just for the sake of, you know, time. But let's choose a kit. Oops, my Ableton is outputting audio in the wrong place. I want to go to the multi-output device. Now, so this is what this is, but essentially is a preview. It says ironmankit.adg. This isn't just like a sample, a loop like you would see in the loop browser over here. Like this was just like heavy rock, this drum loop. I'm gonna mute this because this could sound bad. That was just pre-recorded, everything in one, just one bit of audio. But with this, with Ableton, this is just a preview. But when we load it onto a track, we double click to load it onto a track. So loaded it onto track 2. So you notice track 2 is now called Iron Man Kit. It created this down at the bottom here. So from left to right, this is like our signal, I guess, our effect chain. Let me move my face. So this is like where everything happens down here at the bottom. This is like our instrument. So similar to Soundtrap, where we have all of our instruments, effects and knobs and settings, notes down at the bottom here. Same thing with Ableton. We've got our instrument down here. It's kind of got a lot going on. Let's go through it. At the left, we have an array of effects that is similar to this. So let's go back here and make sure this is in record ready. Alright, it's got a little filter. Bit of pan. Some things you can do with it. Same here. This is the drum kit, so. So we've got some effects that we can apply. Let's try this. Let's try Smash. So it's like a compressor. filter. Nice. Lo-fi adds kind of like a bit crunch. So that's cool. So we can apply all sorts of effects. And the other cool thing about it is this Iron Man kit is actually, it's like a folder. This box is like a folder that contains a whole bunch of stuff. It contains a whole bunch of samples, right? So on each of these boxes contain an audio clip that has that sample on it. But also it's got not only just an audio clip, but this is like this little bit, you can't see where I'm pointing. This little this box right here is like its own effect chain. Let me show you. And before I even get into any of that, let me just talk about what an effect is. Okay, I think my pencil should be relatively charged by now, so I could just talk about this for a second, just to give you some idea what's going on. I've got to plug this in again, set it back up. Excuse me one moment. I'm gonna just set something up real quick. Beautiful. I think we are connected. Yes. Yes, we are. Okay, good. Good. So what is an effect? So what is an effect? Well, it is some process. Let's call it a process that changes your sound. Something that, I guess you could say something that processes your sound. So like, for example, so like we have our raw, our dry, we'll call it, so before a sound has any effects on it, we'll call it a dry sound or dry signal. So like this is, for example, something you just picked from the loop browser or a drum kit that you just played in. This is the dry signal. Nothing happens, no effects have happened to it yet. And I'll tell you, in that drum kit I was just playing in Ableton, there was already bunches and bunches of effects. Not bunches, a few effects already on it. And you saw with those knobs. And I'm just going to kind of get into the definition of effects, and then I'm going to we'll look inside the instrument and see what's going on, because it's interesting. So we have the dry signal here. So this is before any effects have been applied, and then so that's going to go into, let's just make it a box for now. So this is like the effect. All right. So audio is going to come in here. Something's going to happen to it. It's going to come out of that, and so now we're going to have the wet signal. Wet / affected. So that's what wet means. So dry, no effects, FX. and that's gonna change how the sound looks. And also with these squiggles, just to give a couple more terms to things. Squiggles, what I'm drawing here are waveforms. So that's how audio looks when on a computer. Audio looks on a computer, I guess. Yeah. And I think we just kind of already knew, like when this is rendered out, you can kind of tell. Let's find something that's kind of a little bit more obvious of a shape. Let's do maybe. Let's do this one. Let's zoom in. So you can clearly tell here in the waveform. I'm gonna actually make the track taller so we can see a better picture of the waveform. So again, pull this up. The waveform. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at this thing, right? So we can see here, this is clearly like the beginning of the sound. That's where the piano strikes, and then that's the decay of the piano over time. And you can see in certain spots it's louder than others. Yeah, it's a graphical view of the sound. It looks different in Ableton. You can see here, so it's a little more detailed, I would say. We can even enhance, zoom and enhance here, and take a look real close at the waveform, if we'd like. And we could talk more about technically what a waveform is, but I'm going to move on because I'm just doing like brief overview, and I want to show you other DAWs as well. So skipping over the technicalities, we have defined effects, right? So now we know what effects, roughly what effects are. Now what effects are there? So let's kind of open up this Iron Man kit and see what's going on inside. So what this is essentially an instrument, what Ableton calls racks. I said it was a folder earlier. This is called an instrument rack. So it's basically one instrument that contains other instruments and effects inside it. So this is just one of those already an added layer of complexity with Ableton that you couldn't ever think of doing with Soundtrap. Soundtraps, you just got like one layer of effects, and I'll show you quickly how you would do effects in Soundtrap. Very quickly, we're not going to do too much with it. So you double click on a track or click on the show the track icon over here, right, to open up all this stuff down here at the bottom. Add effect. It's very clear where the effects are. You've got a few choices of things you can add. So let's. Ooh, is there a bit crusher in here? There does not appear to be a bit crusher, so immediately we have a downfall. But let's throw on a flanger. Let's turn it off. Let's move the loop region so where we can just hear the piano track. And I'll turn the flanger on just so you can hear what an effect does. So this is our box, right? Imagine that our dry signal is over here. It's going into this flanger box, and it's coming out the right side as a wet affected signal. Now it sounds like this. So this is our wet. This is our dry. And you could technically say these are also effects, these knobs. This is, see, it says basic amp here. You could think of, okay, so the audio, you could visualize that the audio is over here. It's going into these knobs. These knobs are doing something to the audio, and then it's coming out here, going down here, going into the flanger. So it goes into the amp first, which either raises its bass or treble or reverb, right? So let's boost up the reverb. So this is another effect, right? it's going through that, then it goes through the flanger. In fact, I think it goes through the flanger first, then through the basic amp. We can change the parameters of it. Remove it. So that's effects and sound. I mean, that's about as complicated as effects get in Soundtrap. It gets more complex when we talk about actually how those effects work and what those effects are, but not today. So let's look inside this instrument like I continue to say that we will do. So let's go here. So we have an instrument rack. Let's look inside the instrument rack. So we have the knobs button. We won't go over what these buttons do, but let's just go here. So we have inside each of these cells a sampler instrument. Sampler being when you play MIDI. Sampler. So that just takes a MIDI input. Let's say you play in a note, and then that plays a sample out at a certain pitch. So it's going to trigger the playing of a sample at a certain pitch, certain velocity, and certain length, just like any other MIDI instrument would do. It's just using the sample as the audio, or using a sample of audio to replay. So that's what this drum sampler is. You'll notice in here that each time I press a new note, you'll notice a new sampler here. So this whole bit from this point to this point, that is our sampler. You can see there's sample in here. It has controls for that individual sample, and each of these ones is its own sampler. And you can see here it says chain. So that means technically we could apply an effect to each one of these drum hits individually if we wanted to. So we could put a flanger on the shaker and a compressor on the kick Iron Man, or a filter on the hi-hat, all separate. And you see how complex you get real quick, and how precise you can get with things. Oh, I only want to filter this bit. Only want to throw an effect on this. But let's see where the smash filters coming into play. So we have this. We have all of these individual chains, and then we have a chain down here. So this is like, it's like a little condensed effect chain within chain within the chain within the chain. How can I explain this? Equivalent. This down here contains a box of effects, which within that box, if we go into this box, and within this chain, jeez. I know, that's not where we want it to go. We want to go here. Now, now we can see all of the effects that are on this drum kit. So I loaded this thing up. It might be hard to see because it's sideways. I loaded this thing up just from the side here, right? By picking from these drum kits. And it came with all of this just already on it. We had to dig to see what was really there. So once again, I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning. So we loaded up this drum kit, right? We loaded up this drum kit. This can go, and that can go. We opened up we clicked on this little button on the left here, opened up this, and then we can see inside here all of these chains, and then down here a return to some effects. So all of these drum hits are going to this effect chain here, and within that is another box with knobs on it. And this contains yet another list. But where we want to look is here. So these are all the effects that are on the drums already. This is when I was changing these knobs, when I was changing the knobs way back over here to, you know, do stuff to it. Those effects are happening here. Oops, it went away. Those effects are happening here. So let's take a look at this. Redux. We'll open it up, and you can see all sorts of things. We've got Redux, we've got reverb, we've got EQ, which gives boost to certain frequencies, cuts to other ones, and I mean, we'll definitely talk a lot more about this. This is a super important plugin, the effect. I say plugin because I'll explain what a plugin is once we get to one. Filter, EQ3, another EQ afterwards, a compressor, another delay slash reverb, a compressor with a couple other things, utility. It's not really doing anything. And limiter. Yeah, that's a lot going on. But we can just close it down and not worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just play the kit without delay. So let's play something like that. About 95. 96. Our metronome is up here in the top left. Whoa. So there's our met. You can change the sound to a couple different things. Let's do wood. No. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let's record some basic beat. Oh. Yeah. I didn't even notice that was there. Okay, let me try that again. Actually, no. I'm going to take a certain part of that. I only like the last bit. From there. So, similar controls for once we have regions of audio. This is what one of the clips look like. So what I just did there is I cut out the beginning and I sliced it. If I right click, you can see a similar menu to that you see in Soundtrap. What I essentially did was let's go here. I split and then I moved this back to the beginning. So we start with here. We're gonna start with this. Yeah. Okay, so let's maybe pick from. I'm gonna slice here and then here. Let's take this little bit at the end, and then maybe I'll extend out that yeah. So here we have our piano roll. So this is what the piano roll looks like in Ableton. We have our notes here at the left. they actually have the names of the drum samples in them instead of actual note names, because that's what they are. So like, it doesn't even matter what the note names are here. So it's like, this is the kick, this is the snare. What I'd like to do is quantize. So I'm going to right click. Well, first I'm just going to right click, quantize. And there we go. I don't want it to be exactly on the grid. Let's maybe do right click, quantize settings. So I can go right beneath this quantizer, quantize settings. And we get this little box. Do I want it on a 16th grid? Yes, I do. But I don't want to quantize 100% there. I want to maybe do like 50%. So this will move it onto the grid, but only by a little bit. So it keeps kind of your original feel, but still fixes it. So let's quantize these 100%. So 100%, okay. Just to get those on beat 1. But yeah. I'd like to put preview on, so I can go here in this tiny little button here, click this, and now I can hear the notes as I move them around.
Yeah.
Maybe put a snare on there. Still hear the sound. I'm making a fill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's maybe put an open hi-hat.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else after that. Okay. I can dig this. Let's loop it. So looping in Ableton is similar to Soundtrap, but not nearly as straightforward. So you'll notice here, when I hover over the clip, there's not any options, like there's not a loop in the top right, there's not drag it out. You have to come here to this top bar, you can drag it out that way. But if you wanted the same beat to loop over and over like I do, come down here, once we click on it, and we see it in the bottom, we've got a bunch of things over here we can do with it. We're going to loop. So we'll turn it on, and then we can see a green bar up here. Up here, this is our loop region, and you can see that it's turned it on from, we still have all of this stuff we previously recorded. So let's kind of drag it forward so that it starts there and ends there. So I've dragged it down in this area. I'm gonna now once I drag it out, it loops. Cool. So then now we can hear this.
Yeah.
Let's maybe make that happen every or half as often. So I'll kind of do a similar fix that I did the other day, where we take the first clip, we remove, or actually I'll just loop the first 2 bars of it. I'll just loop the first 2 bars. Yep, okay. I'll just take this, copy that over. And the same thing here, I'll copy this bit, oops, over to there. Let's turn the med off. Now.
Yeah.
Now we can move effects around. And this is one huge thing. I'm going to do it right now, and this is something you cannot do in Soundtrap, at least not as flexibly. You can take any parameter. You notice, remember how I talked about the automate tab a couple days ago, where each track has its own little automation section, and then within that we can automate the pan, sweep, or volume. Volume being a fade in, and pan I haven't talked about, and sweep being some sort of basic like filter. And I'll talk about a filter too as we go on. But this is where you would find automation in Soundtrap, and it's very basic. but when it comes to Ableton, automation is everything. Is what this is about. So you can automate anything, any parameter that you can move. So I can move this smash knob around, or move the filter knob around, and I can record myself moving them around. So let's say in here, I don't know, let's do like a little fade in. Let's do a fade in. But okay, and then I want to say, all right, maybe over time, I want this piano, this Golden Feet piano, to get more reverb as the measure goes from left to right. Like I would want to maybe put a line for this reverb knob. Can't do that though. Can't do that. That is a limitation of Soundtrap. There's one of my a pet peeve of mine. But because I've been using Ableton for so long, and you can take any parameter, so let's say reverb, and then you can go back and record that. So let's say this. Also, have to make sure that we're not recording over the old stuff. So I'm gonna go up top here, press the plus. That way I can record on top. And now we're going to record some knob movements. Let's maybe do like let's mess around. Let's just kind of mess around and turn on record. Start with the low filter. I would like to actually make it so you can see me recording. See me recording the automation. So if I press A here, oops, nope. There we go. Did I just remove something by accident? I think I did. No, I didn't. All right. So you can see the automation lines. Let me just tell you what I did again. So I pressed A in Ableton to show automation. I believe you can do it in View. Yep. You can go here in Automation mode, A. And now we can see all of our automation lines. And we can see here, if we right click on all, this box right here shows you all of the things that we can automate. So we select one of the chains. This is all of the chains within that tiny box. And let's choose one of the effects. Reverb, EQ8. Show automated parameter. I want to just, let's do this. When I move a knob, you can see the line move up and down, right? The automation line. Let's just move the knob that we want to automate. Lo-fi. Now that shows up here. So now you can see me recording in the automation. Let's try this again. Maybe I'll start that over again, because I kind of wanted to start with a low filter.
Yeah.
You can go crazy with it, but I'm not gonna go that crazy. Let's try. Let's try a third time. Maybe we'll start it out like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that delay.
Yeah.
Nice. So a couple things you can just achieve some really nice results right off the bat with all these effects and just automating a couple things. So what did I do? So I was mainly changing these knobs right here on the push. I was moving these around, and that was recording in automation to these tracks, to the track here. Not these tracks, this one track. So we can see here all of the effects. If we load them up, we can add new lanes. So a new automation lane, so you can see all of it next to each other. See all the automation I just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. That's just one track. That's all one track. You can do a lot. You can do a lot on one track. You can. Plugins. Let's talk about plugins because not only can Ableton do amazing things on its own, it can support the vast library of plugins that people make. Essentially, software mods. Like, have you ever, if you've ever modded a game, if you've ever installed I don't know, skins for for any game, or something like that, DLC add-ons. Think of it like that. That's what these are. So let's take a look at some of the add-ons and DLC I have purchased and or collected. So let's take a look at some instruments, some instrument plugins. So there are two types of plugins. There are instrument plugins and there are effect plugins. Effect plugins do some of the things that these effects do, like basic amp, vocal amp, guitar amp. There are amp simulator plugins. For reverb, there are reverb plugins. There are EQ plugins. There's a plugin for every single audio effect you can think of. There is a plugin that probably does it better than most DAWs would do because it's made specifically for that. So a synthesizer. Let us first, before we load up Serum, and what we're going to load up, I'm going to show you a basic synth in Soundtrap and show you the caliber, the comparison. It's just the Soundtrap synth is way down here, and what I'm about to show you is just alpha. It's amazing. So synth. So we can get somewhat in depth with a synth in Soundtrap. It's possible. So we have all these effects, right? And these effects vary when you change the instrument, right? We got randomize and tweak, but let's open up tweak and let's see here. So Soundtrap has this basic synth built in, which and it kind of shows you what's going on behind the German lead. The German lead is made up of 2 oscillators with this tuning and this mix and this filter afterwards. So you have an effect chain. So this synth is basically, excuse me, 2 oscillators. Oscillator being like just a noise. It's a noisemaker with a certain tone. 2 noisemakers, a mix between them. Then those 2 go into a filter. So the dry signal is coming from the oscillator going into the filter. It does some stuff, and then it goes into the amp envelope, which kind of determines how long the note will be. Then it's got 2 LFOs, and the LFOs sort of automate and modulate these other parameters, and we'll get more into that too. What an LFO is exactly, because it'll be easier to demonstrate what an LFO is elsewhere besides this. Because once again, this is very basic. It's not really. It's meant for you to make kind of small changes here. You can change the type of filter. Let's do that. Let's kind of do that. So you can play with all those things. That is possible. You could come up with some sort of sound here. But why do that when you have plugins? So, I've soloed it here. Let's load up my favorite plugin of all time, Serum. Give it a moment. There it is. There it is. This is an advanced synthesizer. It's very graphical. It's very in-depth. And what does it sound like when we press a key? Pretty bad. But let's go into actually designing a sound now. Let's kind of do a little mock-up of something, and just show you that. Now, this isn't exclusive to this program is not exclusive to Ableton. The plugins work in any DAW except as a Soundtrap, because Soundtrap doesn't have support for plugins yet. Oh, I'm hoping it does soon. Once Soundtrap gets plugin support, that will be amazing. Anyways, you get software that you can install on your computer. You can use audio plugins. You can even use plugins in a free DAW, a free music software if you'd like to download anything else. I can let you know of some free DAWs at the very end if you'd like to download them, but I haven't used them myself, so I couldn't really show them to you. But there are some there are free software that you can download, free plugins and free. I'll talk more about once I said I was going to show you where I get some of my samples. You can get some free samples, and you can also get free plugins. So, anyways, Serum. Let's do a little patch. Let's do a little sound design. So we have this basic oscillator, right? This is a saw wave, by the way. And you can see here, this is what's playing currently. It's coming out of this window. This is what the waveform looks like. We can edit the waveform. We could go in and do all of this. We can add another cycle, and we can go just insanely deep with this. We can morph between them. So I just created a morphing wavetable. Whoa, what is that? It's a cool sounding thing. So this is what we'll start with. This is our sound source. Let's add in another oscillator next to it. stack that on top. Now let's choose from an oscillator that I already own. So let's kind of do Folly Growl. Wow, that's very... I kind of like this little area. That is insane. Let's pick these 5, or these 6, or so on. We want to remove all except selected, and then we want to morph between them. Spectral. See how that sounds. Cool. Let's have it go down an octave. Nice. Meaty. Let's automate things a little bit. So now down here we have a set of LFOs. I had just talked about what the LFO, or we had just seen LFOs. That is. Oh boy, that is not the right. Oh yes, it is. We had just seen LFOs here. So what do? LFO basically is, well, it stands for. I'm gonna just draw the definition here. Oop, my pencil's dead again. Never mind. LFO is basically a low frequency oscillator. So here you have an oscillator. This is at the frequency of the note you're playing. I guess before I talk too much about this might be kind of like a subject of a day on its own, of just synthesizers, because this is a very interesting and deep topic. To me, this is like my favorite thing ever. I don't know how well how interesting it is to y'all, but I think synthesizers can deserve its own day, and sound design should deserve its own day, because if we could talk about how sounds are made, then you could really make anything at that point, right? You don't have to find samples, you don't have to find sounds, you could just make them yourself. Easy. Well, not easy, very complicated, but that's the fun part. So let's go back into this. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to create here. I'm thinking maybe like a bass sound. So I kind of want to move this waveform position around. Wavetail position. This knob I'm moving here. So I'm going to take this LFO, this low frequency oscillator. I'm going to say that less quickly. Low frequency oscillator. I'm going to move it to the wavetail position. I'm going to take this LFO1. I'm going to add it to wavetail position. And that now modulates it. So it says assign modulators LFO1. And now we can take this little thing here in the corner, raise it up, and we can see a little blue line come out, and that shows us the range of the automation of what it'll move. You'll see here. There's a line that goes across, and you can see here there's a blue dot that goes around that range. So this LFO is providing motion to that wavetable position. And I can provide motion to anything else as well. So I can provide motion to this wavetable position as well. Let's do that. I'm going to drag out the range, and let's hear how this sounds now. We could look at the waveforms a different way. We could click on them, we could see a 3D view. You can see more of exactly what's happening. I'm thinking something quick, maybe. Let's go a little bit faster on that LFO rate. Let's go to our effects tab. So we have the oscillator tab. This is just generating our sound. We have other things as well that we could add, but we'll get to those. I want to go straight to the effects menu. we have quite a few effects to choose from, and these are all built into the synth itself. We have hyper dimension. This is a dimension expander. This is what it sounds like. Here's the dry sound, the wet sound. I like what that does. Whoa. I like that. We're going to assign a macro to that detune knob. We're also going to add it to the rate knob so I can move this around. Cool. Let's add sort of like a filter. So we can go back to our oscillator tab and we'll go to the very right here. We can add a filter and it shows us the filter shape. So very briefly, what a filter does is it takes, so this is from left to right, this is like, assume this is your frequencies. So you have low stuff, low energy, low noise on the left. And then on the right, you have the high noise, the high energy, like the stuff like hi-hats and cymbals and psss and frequencies up there. A filter will essentially cut out or keep certain frequencies, certain parts of those. So everything in the blue is being removed from the signal right now, and you can see A and B are lit up here. The A and B are lit up here. That means oscillator A and oscillator B are going into this filter. So oscillator A, oscillator B combined together make up our dry signal, which then goes into the filter and is cut out, or some of the frequencies are cut out. So see, we raise it up, we get back that high stuff. Now, let's automate the filter. This is where we get some really cool sort of like baseline sound design. This is kind of like dubstep 101 sort of thing. Drag an LFO onto the filter, which will now move that cutoff point. Will now move the filter back and forth so we get some rhythm to it. Let's hear that. So let's drag up that range and let's play. Let's do like this. Let's record that. Okay, I'll take that. I will take that. I wonder if it recorded the automation as well. No, it did not. Darn. Darn. But that's a cool line. I like that line. So let's go back in here a little more. Let's set it up so that we can move these things around as we play and change the sound around as we play, as an additional form of expression. Also, let's kind of develop it a little bit more so it's a little thicker and fits in a little better and has a little bit more bass to it, a little bit more oomph. So there here on the left, we haven't touched these two boxes. We have a sub box, we have a noise box. These are two additional sound sources that can be combined with A and B and then fed into the filter selectively. Of course, you can choose to do it whether or not. Noise oscillator to the filter, sub oscillator to the filter. Let's choose sub, because that's going to give us another oscillator down at the low end to give us more bass. So Can't really hear it at the moment. Let's maybe make the sub's level go with the LFO. Let's throw on a compressor. Multiband. Maybe some distortion. Nice. Ooh, if that frequency can move too. Ooh. Try to pick the right distortion here. Yeah, there we go. Let's do an EQ and add a peak. Maybe make it follow the same motion. Maybe a notch instead. Yeah. Compressor after the notch. Cool. I'll make the level of the oscillators follow the LFO as well. I'll add some noise. Maybe not. Maybe not. I'll forego the noise. Let's do chorus. Maybe make a macro that makes this come in. A filter macro. Maybe a rise on this. So I can make the LFO like come in. We'll make it smooth out a little bit. Give it a bit more meat. And we'll throw a filter on the end. We'll do a comb filter. Doesn't really seem to be doing much. There we go. I'll make this move. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna change the speed of everything now.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll work. That will work. Let's throw that in there. Now, one last thing I'd like to do is set it up so that I can automate it in Ableton. So we'll go here and we will configure. So add parameters to this panel. That way I can automate them. We want all of the macros I just made. And then we want the LFO rates. So I can move all of those things around. And then finally, let's see what all them do. So this is our comb mix. Our filter. Let's do maybe some sort of reverb. No, delay. Delay. And there you have Serum. Let me save that patch. So I'm going to save, and now I can save settings of this plugin. You can see all the other ones I've made. Let's see, Seth, demo, fat bass. Demo fat bass. Okay. Let's look at some other presets. Let's look at some other patches people have made with this plugin. Let's take a look. Let's choose key. This doesn't necessarily have to be just a bass making engine. This can make any sound, remember. Well, no, almost any sound. We have macros as well. Detune. So how does that do? Well, reverb. Add some more reverb. Smooth changes the attack of it a bit. Let's go to E minor. Let's record that in from here. the beginning, maybe. 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quantize. Go to piano roll, edit my notes.
Yeah.
Let's duplicate. Let's load up the patch I just made.
Yeah.
Throw down that filter. Less delay. No delay. Maybe a little delay. Yeah. I'll start from measure 8 because that's where I'm going to begin. No, that's the wrong one. There.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Let's throw some effects on this one. So for some of Ableton's effects. What time is it? Okay. Some of Ableton's effects. Let's throw on an echo. Oops, wrong track. I meant to throw it on the one above. Let's choose a preset of that effect. Modulated. No.
Yeah.
Might not be the best effect for this. We'll try a different preset. Let's try ambient spaces.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. What if I throw an EQ on before it? See, this is kind of the whole process, really, is like you kind of throw things on, you mess around, and you just discover stuff. Like, things happen. Things happen, and you can't explain them. Well, you can, but you just don't bother, do you? You just keep going. So I want to take out the low frequencies of this sound so that maybe that that echo is a little cleaner. Yeah. That was cooler at 16. So that could serve as like as a tail, and then maybe we'll have a different plugin do just the chords at the beginning of the measures. Let's do it. Let's choose a different plugin. Let's go for one from Arturia. Synclavier. Let's do this one. This is an analog emulation plugin. This is meant to model model an old instrument, an old synthesizer instrument, to keep its sounds, to keep its character. So this thing, the Synclavier, I think this synth may or may not have existed. It's kind of like a derivative of that synth, so meaning like you've got it. It's based on the original Synclavier, but it's got with some added software features. But really, why I'm here is I want to find some presets that sound good. So let me quickly make sure that I can hear it. Let's choose. Keys? Let's choose keys. Which one sounds cool? This one, Breathing Life. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but that's a cool sound. Oh boy, I just crashed my, okay, that is one thing that plugins are bad at, is sometimes they crash your software. Anyway, I should be able to recover most of that. I saved my patches, and the other one was just a preset. I guess we'll use a different plugin, shall we? Yeah. That one's old. That is an old plugin. I don't know why that one broke it. That's weird. Anyway. I guess it is 12:26. I guess we could start while this is in the background loading itself back up. We're going to take a look at some, whoa. Yes, I'd like to recover. Alright, we probably lost the patch, so let's go ahead and get that back. Yep, we lost it. That's fine. I knew that's why I saved it. So this was the demo fat bass, and this one was a key. Oh, which one was it though? That is the problem. Oh, it was in here. Diamond Dog. Was it Diamond Dog? Yay! I got it right. It didn't save my... Actually, yes it did. Cool. let's try something. First, I'm going to save my project as is here. Just going to save it as... Let's go Ableton Sessions. Ableton. Today is the 19th. Okay. Let's choose then something else besides anything in the Arteria category, because I need to make sure I test all those before I stream them. Gladiator. Gladiator's a good one. There's another synthesizer. Give it some time. There it is. Oh, yes. That's the first patch. It's THX. This is where it comes from, right here now. Let's see. That one's nice. So this is like all experimental sound design sort of thing. Let's try something else. Let's try native instruments. Everything from native instruments is always good. Let's go for Massive. My second favorite synth. Show you around one more synth real quick, and what next? I could show you another DAW. I could show you. So yeah, I'll do a little bit of like sound hunting, sound searching afterwards. So let's do this. So we'll search for sounds inside of the Massive, and then we will search for sounds online, and we'll find some good websites that you can start getting some material from, because there is only so much to be had in this loop browser here. Only so much. There's a lot. There's a lot. But there is also a lot online. Tons and tons and tons online. So let's look at Massive. Let's look at Massive. So here we have another synth with a bunch of knobs and a bunch of things going on. But we can kind of go through and we can see similar things happening. We've got oscillators, which are generating our sound. Oscillator 1, 2, and 3. We have some sort of modulation. We have LFOs over here. We have envelopes, which are basically other modulators. Something that can change a knob automatically. What does it sound like right off the bat? Pretty crappy, right? Because it's just an oscillator alone. Also, it's got a volume envelope. I don't want that. So right now we're only hearing oscillator 1 because if you notice, what are the three controls on the oscillator? We have wavetable position, so that was the same thing as in Serum. We have the wavetable position here, and we can see a 3D graphic of what the wavetable looks like. And in Massive, we have wavetable position. We don't get a graph or anything, but we can control that here. Whoops, I'm playing the wrong instrument. Let me switch to Massive. Zoom out. Okay, I'm on record ready there. This, by the way, over here, this is on my record ready button. It's called ARM. The ARM button. Similar to in Soundtrap, whichever one is red is which one you're currently playing. There you go. So you can modulate things. So let's go into here. Oh, well, let's avoid that tab. LFO, right? Let's take it. Let's take the LFO. Let's drag it onto the wavetable position of oscillator 1. You can hear it moving. But rather than go in and design another patch, because that's kind of time consuming, and I don't want to do two sound designs and two different DAWs in one day. That's kind of a lot. Let's look at some presets. Let's kind of just go through. I have a ton. Let's just go through and choose one. Evil chord. Ooh. Ooh. So I'm playing the key harder, getting more filter. That's cool. See if that can fit. I gotta be an E. Unfortunately, it's only one type of chord, so that's not gonna work. Only one quality of chord. Oh no! Oh yeah, that was from earlier. I really like this patch. It's kind of slow attack though, maybe let's fix that. There's the rate. I would like if this had a little bit of bit crushing on it. Just throw on the redux effect. Maybe not that much. It's kind of off in pitch. It's got like an A in there. Maybe I don't like that patch this much. Eviton, I will remember this one though. Eviton, I will make it a different color. Can I even make it a different color? Add to my favorites. There we go. That's a really cool lead. I like that lead a lot. What can I do with it? Nice. Nice. That'll come in handy later on. Okay. Save this project. Let's look at something else. Let's move on with our lives. All right. Let's see. Let's look at something on the iPad. Well, this is perhaps something you have seen before. Yes, you know this very well. This is GarageBand. And I'd like to kind of draw a couple comparisons between this and Soundtrap real quick, and show you why Soundtrap is better. Well, it's similar. So, right, this is the sampler instrument. Let's do something else then. Let's do guitar notes. So, because I did this extensively, and I'm sure you know very well how to use this by now, I'm not going to go over how all this works quite yet, but I will talk about how we can, let's see, export audio in 24-bit resolution. That's not important. Picking. Let's do chords. Now, what I'd like to do is try and export and move it to Soundtrap, but perhaps another day. But this is another thing we could do. You could get this on your phone as well. I'm just trying to remember. Perhaps we will do something. Oh look, there's projects from last year. Oh boy. And then you could share, and then send the GarageBand project. I'd like to see if I do project. I could send it to myself. I could send it to the iMac. All right. It's going to open up Logic. Yeah, that's a good one to show. What? Oh, hi. I guess it needs to re-download some stuff. All right, we'll give it a minute. There might be some. I might be lagging on stream, so hold on. Gonna go ahead and quit live, save, and quit, just so we don't have too many things going at once. Yes. Yes. Show you what I'm playing in a minute. Use key commands optimized for what? Okay. I haven't used Alt Logic in a while. I guess there's been some updates. Whoa, what are all these executables? Jeez. Okay. We might not be talking about this today. Jesus. Okay. Well, let's look. Well, that's happening in the background. Jeez. Yeah, it's gonna scan everything all over again. That's fun. Let's look at some places where you can acquire sounds. So here is one of them. Let me move my face out of the way so you can see the links of these web pages. This is a cool one. This is called splice.com. It is a monthly subscription service. If you are willing to shell out, if you're really going to search for some good samples, this is a good place to go. So here, what you could do. This is also a good place to get plugins, by the way. It's called Splice. We'll go to Sounds, and let's try for free. Sure. Plans. Right, and you have to pay, etc., etc. But let's just look at a couple of the sounds that exist. I do not want to try and pay. I just want to look at what there is. Browse the catalog. Let's do that. Alright, so we have just tons and tons and tons of things that we can check out. We can search for anything that we're looking for. Genres. Let's search by genre. Okay, it's going to keep bringing me back to that, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be difficult unless I pay for it. But anyway, let's see. Let's go. I wanted to click on Analog Soul. Yes. Yes. Can I click on it, please? Thank you. I think I have to click on the title. It keeps taking me out because it's launching all of these things. Logic is doing its stuff. But yeah, we have a sample pack here. We can listen to some of the samples within it. Yeah. And so on and so forth. There's more, but of course you have to get an account and start with the subscription to listen to all of them. But this is a place that you can get samples and plugins. Let's go to the plugins tab here. So this is a good place to get both free and paid plugins once you have a software that can support them. And you can see all of these, just tons and tons and tons of effects, from professional level things, professional level effects, pigments. I really want this software. I really want pigments. Pigments too. It's another synthesizer. Polychrome. Yeah, it looks really, really nice. And you can look at all of the shiny new toys here. Like this is one of the things I like to do. I just like look at new plugins. Let's look at free ones. Oh, DAW. Oh, you can get DAWs on here now. Oh, well, only that one. Effects. So just tons and tons of all sorts of things. All sorts of things. And it just goes on and on and on. But Ableton's got Soundtrap has got basic versions of all of these. Transparent look at brick wall limiter with automatic attack release time optimization. Yeah, and on this website too, you can look at people's tracks, and you can also look at how they produce their tracks. So this is kind of like a producer's Facebook, in a sense. You'll upload your track, and then you can look and see at what plugins they used and what tracks they used. Let me go ahead and click on Relay. See here, you can see how it's broken down. can see all of the audio clips that were on it. So this is it's a great resource too if you're like if you want to know if you want to know how a song was produced and like what's going on in the tracks, you can go on Splice and you can load up a track that someone's produced and someone's uploaded. And you can go through and you can see, you can't exactly see what the waveforms, oh well you can. You can see the samples that were used on some of them, that is. Then you're like, okay, so there's a drum track here, there's a snare roll. Sorry about that, that's loud. Cool. It's a good song. Let's take a look at another website. So there's also, similar to Splice, there's sounds.com by Native Instruments. And you can, again, browse through sample packs that people have posted, that they have posted, and get a subscription service and get as many as you have credits for. So the way they work is you get these credits per month, and you can download so many sounds, but you can download them from any pack anywhere. Or what you could do is go to free samples. You can look up free sample packs on Google. This is how I got started with it. You do free sample packs. Ignore the first link. Well, actually, before I ignore the first link, let's actually click on the first link. Let's see if it's not just a bait, because a lot of these are kind of just baits to get you to buy something. They get you to buy the actual subscription. This sampleslander.com. Okay, this is another one apparently, and another subscription service. So like, yeah, this is kind of how they're distributed. Is you pay a monthly fee and you then get access to all of this library. Personally, I prefer any way that you could not get a monthly subscription service and not pay something per month is better, because then you could if you start on something like this and then you move on and forget about it, you're still on that service, you're still paying. You might pay something you don't necessarily intend, or might not use it as much as you would. So, you know, just charts. Like I haven't seen this website yet personally. This is probably not where you want to go for the free ones, because it said paid subscription. So, freesamplepacks.com. This one, I believe, is a little more reliable. Let's kind of go through one. Let's grab one. Let's grab one. The worst sample pack of all time. Let's get it. Oh boy, getting all sorts of errors today. Yes, I want these worst samples ever. Thank you. Download this free sample pack now. Yoink. So this will lead you to other websites that are sort of offering like freebies. Got it. Oh, I see. That's weird. Why does it tell you someone else's purchase? What? But you can go through. Let's. I'm just gonna get this. I want this. I want this sample pack really badly. Oh boy, you gotta put in everything. It's $0 though. You could just put in some email. Like what I like to do is, because I like to go sample hunting and like to download lots of stuff, and lots of times when you go to download free things, they make you sign up for an account because it's a promotion that you need to get this account to get. So I like to make. I have an email. This is the origin of my trash email. I use a trash email that I never check, and I'll put in some info. Now maybe this site is good. Maybe I'd want to come back here and buy more things from it. In that case, I'd make a real account. But if you're going around hunting for samples, I'd recommend using an email that you don't check, because this is basically going to, alright, underneath, you can see here, keep me up to date on news and exclusive offers. It's going to put you on a mailing list, and it's going to flood your inbox. So be very careful when you go around and kind of look for freebies like this. There's lots out there. There's tons out there. And if you find good, you could find good websites that don't make you go through and purchase it. But I mean, if you have to go through and do this, then use fake info. I mean, you don't need a billing address because you're not being billed anything. Technically, I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you where you look and what you want to do. But I recommend starting out with the sounds here. And if you're like, okay, well, I need something much more specific. I want to look for something unique and new. Go around the internet. Search for things. There. Is Logic done yet? Jeez, it is taking a moment. I wanted to show you it today, but I don't know if that's going to be happening. Oh, one more thing on the iPad. Whoa, what is that? Oh, hi there. Oh, that's one of my plugins that's doing strange stuff right now. Why is it repeatedly loading up and over and over again? Weird. It's going through all my plugins. All right. Let's click on this. So this is another app, another music app. It's called Blocks by Rolly. This one, it's basically an iPad drum kit, and it's got some cool things you can do with it. Like, for example, you can tap, move up on a pad. So it looks like we have cymbals over here. By the way, this app is meant to work with like certain pieces of hardware called blocks by Rolly. They're really cool. But yeah, this is just another thing you could use. And there is a way to export your sounds once you record something in. You record loops here. Personally, I haven't messed with this much. But I'm just kind of showing you this thing that to demonstrate that there's more than just Soundtrap. There's always more than just Soundtrap. And it's worth looking around and messing with other music software. And you could always, like, once you produce something in let's say GarageBand, for example, and what I did recently, or what I just did a little bit ago, is I made a little track, and then I shared it to my computer as a song or project, and that gives me an audio file which I can then work with. Let's see, Renaya's song, Don't Touch. Then that gives me audio on the computer that which I can then upload onto soundtrap.com. So hint hint, you go down here to, or let's see, let's go add new track. You can add a new track. We can go import file, and then you can go to whatever to the WAV file you've created using any other music app, and you can upload that to the website and use it in your song. So yeah, it's not just limited to this, and of course you could always like record things too. If you get hold of a microphone, you just record stuff yourself. Go around. What people will often do, like Foley artists, sound effects designers, they'll go out with a mic in their hand, and they'll do what's called field recording. So they'll go around, record stuff, and then they have a bunch of sounds from around the world, from around wherever they went, and then they come back to the studio, and they put those sounds in. They put whatever sounds they recorded in, and they can make you can make drum beats out of them. You can sample them for instruments. You can do all sorts of stuff, and so how you make sounds, this is limitless potential, and also how you affect sounds, limitless potential. Because if you're limited here, you just saw that there are pages and pages and pages and pages of effects that you can choose from. Of course, they all fall under similar categories, and we'll go over those categories in the coming weeks so that you can know if you do decide to go and look around for new software, new things to play with. You know what you're looking for, and you know what you need. So, perhaps, what else here? What else here? What else here? Don't think anything else that we can. It's GarageBand, Rolly Blocks, Ableton Live, and the effects in Ableton Live. We kind of touched on a little bit, quite a lot today. Let me quickly go back to my notes to see if there's anything else that I'd like to cover. Right, so this is kind of what we did today. I'll just kind of we just talked about an effect, what an effect does. So we have the dry signal, and just this way of thinking. Okay, I don't have a laser pointer. But right, the dry and wet concept. Dry would be, let's say, something you imported from another app. Now think of it this way too. Now let's say you have made this really complex sound in a synth or something like that, like in Serum or in GarageBand even, or somewhere else, some other piece of software. You have created a what are you saying, Logic? Oh, all right. I'll just continue. So. God, what was I saying? It just told me 33 of my plugins won't work. Anyway, but yeah, we could. What I was saying is, if you create a sound in like Serum or anywhere else, and you import it to Soundtrap, it just becomes this block of audio, right? So it was something else. It was notes with a bunch of effects on it. It was this piece of this little, I don't know, the sound of a. I don't know, something random. Whatever you could think of. Pencil dropping on the floor. Affected through delay and reverb to sound like it's in a cave, or it's like, maybe you don't. But whatever you do to create a sound, you import it to Soundtrap, that block of audio then becomes a dry signal, a new dry signal, which exists on track, and then you can affect that more. And then you just kind of like, so you have wet signal affected. I want to draw something, but my pencil is dead. But you can just continue to affect and affect and affect, and it'll change and change. And you can just keep layering and affecting things over and over if you wanted. Or you could use them strategically, and we'll talk about the strategies of effects and where we use effects, in what context, why. I'm just talking about that it is possible to just continually affect something over and over, just pass the wet signal back in as a dry signal to that same effect, and you get the effect twice as much. Or 4 times as much. It might compound itself in weird and interesting ways. Like if you pass it through a filter, and you pass it through that same filter again, is it going to be different? We'll ask all those questions. Like if we pass something, Fox News, stop. Like what's going to happen if we pass things through certain effects, and we'll talk about what to expect. We'll listen to effects exclusively, so we can just kind of get an idea of what they do, and then that will help you along in your search for the right sound. Because we know how to manipulate stuff. A lot of sounds out there are just affected versions of other sounds. So if you can start with one sound and get 1,000,000 or 10 different sounds from one single dry source. Like heck, I was able to make that interesting bass line from an oscillator. An oscillator is literally just like a pure tone. It's like me. That's an oscillator, and you can make so much with that. Imagine how much you could do if we just continue applying effects to any sound. I think I'll sign off with that today, and we'll come back on Monday. I'm not gonna do weekends. And if I do weekends, it's going to be just my stream instead of the educational stream. It's going to be just me producing, not explaining anything. But yeah, for now, until plans change, until things change, until we get more people on, no weekends. Cool. If you want individual help, I mean, if you want. If you're, you can always ask, and I could do more. I could do some sort of like one-on-one thing. See you later, Nate. All right, let's get this onto the right screen. That is incorrect. Let me make that correct. That should say. Should say Monday. Huzzah! So yeah, we'll be back on Monday, with a brand new week of exciting stuff. So be sure to check in, tell your friends. Let's get a real operation going here. I would love for all of the BVMP kids to be producers. All of them. Even if they don't want to. They don't have a choice. No, I'm kidding. Alright. Sign off.